That's the big thing I want you to understand. We have to re-engineer and rewire our internal environment by starting with our external environment, and that's the big secret. Success and failure are a product of our environment. If I get comfortable, I'll get complacent. If I get complacent, my dreams will die. So I leave it injured because I don't want to ever feel comfortable. Our external environment is opposing our goals. And we're going to go into what the external environment is in detail, but that's why, is your goals and your environment are not in line. They're not synced, okay? And here's the other thing. You can't willpower your way to success. There's so many people who want to get up, listen to motivational videos, and they want to work out and get their blood pumping, and they just want to go seize the day. But even doing that is not going to make you successful because you have to learn how to do something different, right? To successfully achieve your goals, you have to radically re-engineer your external environment. That's the key to this. You have to learn how to radically re-engineer your environment. Let's talk about what that is. And the only way to really truly defeat this enemy is to do that. And it's kind of unfair because you didn't even know this was here. You didn't even know this enemy was inside of you. Yet, that's how it works. So before we dive into the environment stuff, let's talk about what subconscious reluctance really is and how it works. So we'll start with the subconscious mind. And we all know, if you've read any books about psychology and understanding the human brain, our subconscious mind is wired to protect us and maintain the status quo, right? This is why we don't take risks. This is why when we see a lion's den, we're not going to walk into the lion's den, right? It was designed for us to stay alive, okay? The subconscious mind works very hard in the background to help keep us in our comfort zone and protect us from perceived danger, even if it's not real. And as a result, we encounter change, and our subconscious often makes us resist that, right? So if we dive into the human brain specifically and look at it, unfortunately, this is how we're wired. This is how we were created. And really, we were damned before we ever began on this journey because of our subconscious. And our ambitions, our goal, our why, our aspirations, our family, none of these are strong enough to get you exactly what you want out of life. You may get some of it. You may achieve some goals, but only 10% of goals ever set are actually achieved. And that's been studied, right? And the reluctance we feel are for two reasons. One is because we have all these emotions that we can't necessarily control. And then actually, it's even just the anticipation of feeling the emotions that makes us stop. That's what holds us back. That's why we're hesitant, because we don't want to be uncomfortable, right? Does anyone enjoy being uncomfortable? I knew a guy I used to work with named Thomas, and he walked a little bit of a limp. And I asked him what was going on. He said, well, I got something going on with my toe. I had a lot of money. I said, why don't you go get it fixed? He said, no, I like it. I'm like, you like it? He's like, yeah. I'm afraid if I get comfortable, I'll get complacent. If I get complacent, my dreams will die. So I leave it injured because I don't want to ever feel comfortable. And that's one of the things that planted the seed in my mind around this concept. But that was a very powerful moment for me. I thought he's kind of weird, but I love the guy. He's super successful. But he needed to stay uncomfortable for a reason. I think it's beautiful, right? And this is why doing hard shit is hard. They don't call it easy shit for no, it's hard shit. It's why it's hard to do, because we have to beat this, right? And these feelings and these emotions I was talking about a second ago are things that everyone deals with at some level. And you got anxiety and you have fear. You also have this long-term goal, but you're really prioritizing the way you feel now over the way you should feel later. We let things today stop us from moving forward towards our goals because our priorities are misaligned, right? People sometimes seek to be perfectionist. And if they can't do something perfect, they feel so reluctant to do so because they don't want people laughing at them, right? And this is a big problem inside of us. And I think first you have to start by being aware that it's there. If you're not aware of the problem, you can't address it, right? So we know the subconscious is powerful. Let's talk about how to beat it. You guys ready for this? It's only by changing our external environment that we can rewire our internal environment. That's the big thing I want you to understand. We have to re-engineer and rewire our internal environment by starting with our external environment, and that's the big secret. Success and failure are a product of our environment. There's a lot of people who will tell you otherwise. People say you're not defined by your upbringing. You're not defined by the family you were born into. You're not defined by your circumstances. That's bullshit. You are, 110%, and I'll tell you why. So let's go into environments. You have three types of environments. You have your internal environment, you have your external environment, and you have your interpersonal. But for today, we're going to talk about specifically the external and how to re-engineer that. Think about your internal environment, your worldviews, your beliefs, your values. You weren't born with all these things, were you? Did anyone? Who doesn't like pickles? Were you born not liking pickles? Maybe. This is your internal system. Like, you got to understand that this didn't come from within inside you. It came from outside of you, right? You are who you hang out with. My mom used to tell me that all the time. Absolutely, here. And this is because the external environment shapes your internal environment. I think you got to understand that. Think about your external environment, what it is. It's really your surroundings, your physical surroundings, the people you choose to spend time with and create relationships with. It's the information that you absorb and you let inside your head. It's the food you put in your body. It's the music and the podcasts you listen to. This is your external environment, okay? This is huge. Good or bad, this is what it is. Good in, good out, bad in, bad out. This is what's shaping your worldviews. If you sat down one day and said, the only thing I'm ever going to do again is watch the news, you're going to be a very pessimistic person because the world's a shit show. And you're letting all this stuff into your head, and it's going to change your internal environment. Do you see the picture? This matters more than you could ever imagine, okay? So once again, you got to change your external environment. Therefore, we can rewire our internal environment, and that's the only way to be able to overcome this because we're born wired with that subconscious reluctance. That is something we're born with, and you have the ability to overcome it, okay? Success and failure are literally, simply a product of your environment, okay? One of my favorite quotes here is, it's very hard to show up as the person you want to be when you are surrounded by an environment that makes you feel like a person you aren't. It's very powerful. You are who you hang out with. This is a real thing. It's not just a saying your mom says to you when you're 19 to make sure you don't hang out with losers and druggies. This is a real thing. Another great saying, you don't have to become the victim of your environment. You can be the architect of it. That's more true. Somebody who grew up in a rough neighborhood or a bad household, you have so much power for this, but you have to know that you are in control, okay? Your external environment shapes every aspect of your life, every single bit of it, okay? From your income to your waistline, your hobbies, your values, what you do every single day, the people you choose to spend time with. All of that comes from that. Every idea you've ever been exposed to has come from that, okay? So here's a great quote I want you to think about. This is from one of my favorite books, Willpower Doesn't Work by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and he says, who you are and what you do is constrained by the people around you and the quality of information you consume. Garbage in, garbage out. Some of you, this may be a little slap in the face or kind of a wake-up call, and that's good.